I'm in the process of adding an elevated subway line to my HO train layout. The reason I'm doing this is because a friend of mine saw my original video that I posted on YouTube and said, "Where's Bonsai of Brooklyn?" Bonsai of Brooklyn is the name of my business, and he was referring to my former store on McDonald Avenue. I scratch built a replica of the store. There's a video of that on my YouTube page. Once my store was complete, there was only one thing missing from my layout. The F train, an elevated subway line here in Brooklyn, runs right down McDonald Avenue and right in front of my store. This is the location of my former store. The building was renovated about 7 or 8 years ago, so it looks a little different now. As you can see, the building sits under the elevated train. It's the F line here in New York City. The F train is one of the longest subway lines running in the New York City transit system. It goes through Brooklyn, then it goes through Manhattan, then it goes through Queens. At various times it runs above ground as an elevated line and then below ground as a subway. As you can see, work on the subway is far from finished. There's a lot of detail that has to be taken care of. Rough edges in the tunnel. I'll be adding a portal to this opening over the next couple of days, maybe day or two. I plan on adding a station here. And the steps to the station will be coming down to the street level in this area right here, right basically in front of the store. It seemed that there was always a work crew up on the tracks doing some kind of repairs or other. So, in the interest of accuracy, I added one. The structure itself is made from the channel that you use when you make a metal stud wall. This is the channel that goes on the floor and on the ceiling, and the steel studs go into the channel. This is how it looks unfinished. It's an inch thick by 3 5/8, I believe, and it's just wide enough to support 3 tracks, which is the actual number of the elevated subway line in front of my store. The poles are made from 1/2-inch steel rod. These are the pillars that hold the structure up. I try to model them as closely as I could. You'll notice the cement blocks at the bottom and the two-tone columns. The columns themselves are made out of 1/2-inch steel stock, as you could hear, and I used a Sawzall with a metal cutting blade to cut them into the appropriate lengths. And then the first couple, in order to get some stability, I sawed it in place, and the rest of them, once the structure was stable, I was able to measure the rest of them, mount them on the wooden blocks, and then glue them in place using super glue. And what appears to be the cement columns are actually made of wood. For the columns, I stripped a piece of wood down to a little over 3/4 by 3/4. And then I cut that into 3/4 inch pieces. And then on my belt sander, I beveled the 4 sides. Once that was done, I spray painted them white and then dappled a little bit of black onto the white. You could do that by spraying from a distance, and it kind of gives the look of aged cement, so that when they're in place on the structure, they look like the cement columns at the base of the elevated train supports. Before I mounted the columns, I painted them green and then painted the bottom third or so black, because that matches the color scheme that's used. And I put the wooden simulated cement bases in place. I used Atlas pier girders. They come 4 sections, as you could see, to a package. They come in black, and they were just a little bit too wide. So what I did is I stripped part of it off, and then I spray painted them green because that's the color of the structure in my area. And then I glued them in place. It's a really nice look. It finishes it off very well. And I used regular, like a super glue, in order to hold them in place. Well, you've had enough of me yakking, so now let's take a look at the stars of these presentations, the trains themselves. There are 2 sets of 1 motorized and 3 unmotorized. They could be run individually, or they could be run as one long train. I suppose eventually I'll be picking up a few more unpowered units. But for now, it's either 1 long or 2 short. By the way, the start time from start to finish of this was just over 3 days. I want to give a special thanks to Diane, Paul, Kim, Frank, and all the really nice people at Train World on McDonald Avenue here in Brooklyn. They're also available on the internet at trainworld.com. This is just not just for the subway, but for most of the materials that went into the making of this layout. They have a terrific selection, good prices, and they're very, very helpful. So again, a special thanks to everybody at Train World. Thank you for watching. Bye.